Ex-Heartthrob revealed, Millionaire's incredible shock seeing his pregnant ex-wife serving tables. Jake strolled into Maplewood, a town he thought he'd left behind for good. The sun cast a soft glow over familiar streets, but they felt foreign now. Once the center of a whirlwind romance with Emily, the waitress with dreams bigger than her tiny diner, he had traded quiet evenings for clinking champagne glasses and the relentless pursuit of power. But as he stepped inside the diner for a charity event, his heart dropped at the sight of Emily, heavily pregnant, balancing plates with grace as she navigated a swarm of tables. Jake's chest tightened. Memories crashed over him: laughter, late-night talks, dreams painted in vibrant colors, now dulled under the weight of his wealth. He hadn't seen her in years, though she often haunted his thoughts like a whisper of lost dreams. Now, here she was, serving others while he was dressed in the finest suit money could buy, but it felt like a costume slipping off his shoulders. He blinked, and she looked up. Their eyes locked an electric moment. The familiar spark was still there, but it burned with unspoken words and aching history. The din of the diner faded as whispers filled the air. Everyone in Maplewood knew their story, and he felt them watching, waiting for a spectacle to unfold. "Jake," she said, her voice steady yet laced with an edge. The warmth he had once cherished felt like an ember, now hardened by the years. "What are you doing here?" "Just supporting a good cause," he stammered, though the reason felt flimsy. Offering his help should have been nothing but kind. But he was met with her narrowed eyes, a storm brewing. Before Jake could say another word, the richness of her life spilled forth in a flood of indignation. "Life here is real, Jake. It's not just charity events and photo ops. This is about hard work, sacrifices," she said, wiping her hands on her apron, her eyes fierce. "And I don't need your pity." Jake felt his heart pound in his chest. Her words cut deep, revealing the cracks in his opulent life. He wasn't prepared for this confrontation, the confrontation of realities. The applause surrounding him was drowned out by the truth of Emily's struggle. This was the essence of Maplewood: people striving against hard times, families pulling together, and dreams either nurtured or crushed. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Jake looked into her eyes, he didn't just see resentment. He saw the heart and soul of someone who fought through life's challenges with tenacity. Suddenly, he was no longer just a millionaire with all the privilege in the world. He felt the weight of his choices. He stood in the diner, surrounded by the hum of familiar faces, and knew this moment was pivotal. Was this the time to reach out and bridge the divides? Could he redefine success, or would he remain trapped in a glimmering life devoid of meaning? He took a step closer, the cacophony of diners fading. All that mattered was the two of them, as they hovered on the brink of shared history and potential new beginnings. Was it too late? Would she let him in again, or had he lost both her and the essence of what truly mattered? Jake took a deep breath, trying to find the right words, but nothing felt adequate against the backdrop of swirling emotions and heavy silence. The diner buzzed around them with chatter and laughter, but for him, the world had narrowed to just Emily: her fiery gaze, the way she stood her ground, the hint of vulnerability in her posture that only he might notice. "Emily," he began, his voice softening, but her expression shifted, a mixture of defiance and lingering hurt painted across her features. She crossed her arms tightly, as if shielding a part of herself he had once known so intimately. "Don't, Jake," she interrupted, her tone sharper now. "Don't pretend this is about anything but showing off how far you've moved on. You have your life, your riches. And I have this." She gestured with a sweep of her arm: the diner, the customers, and, perhaps, the dreams that felt scattered like crumbs on the floor. He swallowed hard, her words a bitter pill he had to digest. "I didn't come here to flaunt," he said, a fire igniting in him. "I came because I wanted to support this cause, to help." I thought maybe his voice trailed off as a flicker of doubt crossed his mind. Did he really think coming back here would fix things? Emily shifted her weight, and Jake could see the tension in her shoulders tighten. Thought maybe what? That you could throw money at a problem and make everything better? That I'd just roll over and forget the hurt? No. That's not it. His protest filled the space around them, catching more than a few curious ears. "I want to understand. I want to know what you've been through." He paused, searching for the sincerity in his tone, hoping it would reach her. "I've missed you. I've thought about you every single day." A long moment passed as Emily held his gaze, searching for honesty behind his polished exterior. The flicker of her anger gave way to something softer, something that resonated with the memories they had shared. "You think it's that simple," she finally said, her voice steady, yet more gentle. "You don't know the sacrifices I've made. The dreams I had that turned to dust. What if I want to help rebuild them?" Jake's words hung in the air as he stepped forward, swallowing the gap between them. He could feel the warmth radiate from her, mixed with the walls she had built around herself. "Do you even know how?" she said, her voice almost cracking. The challenge in her tone melted into an open question, and Jake felt the weight of her grief and hope. "You've been gone so long. This place, it's not just where I serve food. It's my life." "I didn't realize," he confessed, bowing his head slightly in shame. "I thought I could just come back and make things right. But I see it's a lot more complicated than I understood." Then silence enveloped them again. The clinking of silverware and distant chatter faded into a hollow echo as they remained locked in this moment, a crossroads. Would she let him try? Could he truly reconnect with the person she had become? And just as Emily was about to respond, a loud crash echoed through the diner. A tray slipped from a young waiter's hands, scattering plates across the floor in a chaotic explosion of sounds, pulling them back to reality. "See? Even he's more in tune with this place than you are," Emily said with a hint of a smile, her walls momentarily softening. But as quickly as it came, her expression hardened again. "This isn't some fairy tale, Jake. Then let us write a new story together," he urged, emboldened by that brief spark of hope. "I want to be part of your world again." As the urgency of their exchange hung heavy in the air, Jake felt something shift between them, a potential tether, fraying but not yet broken. Emily's breath caught slightly, as if the decision loomed closer, yet the fear of vulnerability held her back. "Maybe," she began, but the roar of the diner surged forward as patrons erupted into chatter about the mishap, drowning her words. Jake's heart raced. Had she been ready to open up? Or had he already missed his chance? In that moment, the stakes felt higher than ever, and he knew he wouldn't walk away without trying. But was that enough? Would they be able to bridge the chasms that separated their worlds? As the clamor subsided, he stood there, bracing for her answer, heart in his throat, hoping that this wasn't the end of the conversation but merely the beginning of their path back to each other. What would she reveal if given the space? "Jake," she hesitated, her voice a whisper amid the chaos, a new chapter waiting to unfold. Emily's breath trembled as she looked down at the floor, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. The moment hung in the air, a fragile balance of hope and fear. She could feel Jake's gaze penetrating her walls, demanding to know what lay beneath her hardened exterior. "Jake," she said again, but this time, the words seemed trapped, choked by the sudden rush of vulnerability. The weight of her fears pressed heavily against her chest. "Emily," he said cautiously, stepping closer. "Whatever it is, you can tell me." The diner's chaos faded into the background. The clinking dishes and laughter felt distant, as if they were the only two souls in the room. "Why now?" she finally asked, meeting his eyes, the defiance in her voice softening just a touch. "Why after all this time?" Jake hesitated, searching for the right words. "Because I've realized what I lost." "What I've really lost," he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. "I thought money could fill the gaps, but all it did was create more distance. I need you to understand I care about you, still." Her eyes widened at that confession. The truth hung between them, tangible and disarming. "You say that, but do you even know what you're asking for? Tell me," he implored, leaning forward, desperate to bridge the gap. "What am I asking for? I want to know what you've built here, the life you've created while I was away." Emily felt a flicker of something deep inside. Could she share everything? Could he understand the dreams she fought for, the battles she had waged? But just as she opened her mouth to respond, a memory threatened to pull her back, reminding her of all the times she felt scared and alone. "Here, in this diner, I pour my heart into every cup of coffee I serve, every plate I clean," she began finally, her voice steadying. "I'm not just surviving, I'm living for every single moment and every patron that walks through the door. My life here is real, Jake. I fought like hell to make it a safe place, to keep my dreams alive, even when you left me." His expression softened, that tender look creeping back as he listened. "You've done so much," he said quietly. "And I admire you for it. I can't pretend I know what it's like, but I want to be part of it. Let me help you build, not just with money, but with my support and respect for everything you've accomplished." Jake watched as the conflict danced across her face. Uncertainty held her captive, yet in his eyes, she saw an earnestness she longed to trust. She wanted to believe him, she wanted to release the past. Then, just as the moment began to morph, the door swung open with a jingle, and a familiar face entered, lifting Emily's spirits and snuffing the tender atmosphere. It was her mother, cheerful and oblivious to the tension. "Hey, sweetie," her mom called out, spotting Emily. She hurried over, her smile illuminating the entire diner. "I brought those green beans you like to cook with. Oh, and I thought we could do a family dinner tonight." Emily's heart sank slightly, the warmth evaporating as reality crashed back around her. Her mom's involvement complicated everything. "Mom, this is not a good time," Emily said, her cheeks warming. "Is this Jake?" her mom asked, her eyes widening with recognition. The surprise on her face told Jake all he needed to know, like being struck with a bolt of lightning. "Yes, Mom," Emily said, trying to salvage the moment. It's a complicated situation." The enthusiasm drained from her mother as she assessed the tension. "Complicated?" she echoed, glancing between them. "Can't say I'm surprised." Jake stepped back, feeling the weight of Emily's world closing in around them. "Maybe we can talk later," he suggested, his voice a hushed whisper. Emily nodded, but her heart felt heavy. She internalized the struggle brewing inside her. Would Jake really understand, or was he just trying to smooth over the edges of a past that cut so deeply? As her mother chatted away, oblivious to the storm brewing just beneath the surface, Emily's mind raced with questions. How could she let Jake back in? How would she navigate her mother's expectations against the turmoil she felt inside? The clamor of the diner returned, mingling with her thoughts, leaving her on the brink of a decision that could change everything. Would Jake's reappearance fracture what she had built, or could he be the unexpected ally she needed? "Emily, are you okay?" her mother asked, a hint of concern in her voice. Before Emily could answer, she caught Jake's gaze, searching for reassurance. But the fleeting promise of a new beginning felt precariously balanced on a tightrope of impossibility. What would she choose? Could she really open up enough to let him back into her heart? As patrons continued to stream in, laughter and chatter filled the air once more, the vibrant world around her stark against the deep uncertainty she felt inside. And there it was, that inevitable question that hounded her: what did she really want? Jake, she began again, but what followed felt buried under layers of history. Would she allow herself to take the leap of faith, or would time slip through her fingers yet again? Emily stood frozen, her emotions roiling beneath the surface as her mother continued to prattle on about dinner plans. The sweet warmth she had once felt toward family dinners began to sour in her stomach. How could she discuss family unity when she felt so fragmented? Jake shifted awkwardly, his smile fading as he caught the drift of Emily's hazy turmoil. The burst of liveliness her mother had brought with her now felt like a heavy blanket draped over a smoldering fire. He glanced around the diner, the lively chatter seeming almost mocking in its frivolity while he faced the storm in Emily's eyes. "Can we talk?" he whispered, his voice barely a breath above the din. Desperate for some semblance of a retreat, Emily nodded, motioning with her eyes toward the back of the diner. They slipped behind the counter, the clamor fading slightly into the background as they found a moment of privacy. "Emily," he began, a gravity in his tone that made her heart quicken. "I know this is a lot. But you're not alone anymore. You don't have to protect yourself from me. I want to be here, whatever that means for you." His words were laced with honesty, but the weight of his past actions loomed heavy in the air between them. "You want to be here, but can you really handle what is here?" she replied, her voice a shaky whisper. "I'm not just standing still. I've built something. It's not perfect, but it's mine." A flicker of pain crossed his features, a reminder of their history. "I get it. I'm not asking you to set everything aside for me. I just want to understand. Let me help. I want to prove I've changed." "Prove?" she echoed, the tension overflowing. "How do I know this isn't just another broken promise? You turned your back once, Jake. It was easy for you." He stepped closer, his hands reaching out to hold her shoulders, grounding her. "And it was painful. Losing you, losing us, that was my biggest regret. I'd give anything to unearth that past and show you I can be better." His earnestness pulled at her heart, but there remained fragments of fear that made her recoil. "What if you're better isn't good enough? What if it is?" Jake countered, his persistence a powerful force. "What if in this moment, we reclaim something beautiful together? I want to know you who you are today, not just the girl from years back." At that instant, Emily's heart raced. The walls she had meticulously built began to quiver, and emotions bubbled to the surface. Could she let someone in again? Could he truly comprehend all that she had fought through? As her mind started to whirl with possibilities, a sudden loud clatter drew their attention. A stack of plates cascading to the ground shattered the intimate moment they were sharing. Emily's mother rushed over, a flurry of words spilling from her lips as a few patrons turned to glance at them, speculation written on their faces. Emily felt exposed. The comfortable bubble of their conversation burst, replaced by scrutiny. Her mother's brow furrowed as she inspected the scene, concern etched deeply into her features. "Emily, do you need?" her mother started, hesitating at the tension enveloping the two of them. "No," Emily interjected, her voice sharper than she intended. "It's fine." But it didn't feel fine. The air was thick, heavy with unspoken words and unmet expectations. She caught Jake's eye again, trying to convey a silent frustration, conflicting with her fear and longing. Could she rise to the challenge? The pull toward Jake was strong, yet the weight of saying yes felt monumental. "I need time, Jake," she finally confessed, stepping back, creating a space that felt necessary to breathe. He inhaled sharply but nodded, understanding despite the pang of disappointment. "I'll wait. Just don't shut me out completely." As he turned to join the gathering crowd, Emily felt a mix of sadness and relief. A decision loomed over her. Would she brave this turbulent sea of love and fear, allow him another chance to hurt her, or was Jake really the ally she so desperately needed? The chatter of the diner buzzed around her, bright and distracting, life moving forward while she stood rooted in place. Above all of her doubts and uncertainties loomed a new revelation. Sometimes, it was the stepping back that invited the ability to step forward if only she had the courage to follow. With her heart still racing from the emotional upheaval, she turned to her mother, ready to drown in familial commitment but unsure of the direction her own heart intended to take, and as she glanced back to where Jake had just stood, a lingering thought echoed in the silence. What if accepting change was also accepting love back into her life? Emily took a deep breath, letting the din of the diner wash over her, but it did little to quell the churning in her stomach. Her mother was still hovering nearby, her concern palpable. What did Emily really want? Did she want her mother's approval or the comfort of familiar arms? Looking toward the bustling kitchen, she remembered how much she used to love helping out there during the summer, the warmth of grilled cheese melting in the air and the laughter of chefs competing for attention. But that joy felt layered with a bittersweet tint now. How had it all changed so quickly? Emily. Her mother's voice cut through the haze. The question in her tone was sharp, laced with a worry that made Emily's chest tighten. Are you all right? Yeah, Emily muttered, though her tone betrayed her. Just a lot to think about. Her mother's eyes softened. We're all going through changes, honey. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. With a flick of hope, Emily wanted to believe that. But it wasn't just about change, it was about trust. Trust that Jake would keep his promise. Trust that she could open her heart again without it shattering to pieces. I know, Emily replied, her voice barely above a whisper, but I have to think about what's best for me. And so do I, her mother said. But it's easy to forget that in the chaos. Emily met her mother's gaze, a twig of understanding bridging the generational divide. They both were travelers on this bumpy road of life, each weathering their separate storms. That doesn't mean I have it all figured out, the words slipped out before Emily could contain them. I'm not standing at a crossroads with a clear path laid out before me. Her mother nodded, actively absorbing Emily's apprehensions. Tell me what you really want. She hesitated, traveling into her own emotions felt rocky. It was easier to just dance around them. I want to feel like myself again. The shadows of doubt hovered as she found herself tracing the edges of her heart's deepest desires. Was she prepared to welcome someone else's expectations on what that should look like, especially Jake's? Just then, the familiar laughter of old friends echoed from a nearby booth. She turned, catching sight of Angela and Sarah, the two girls who had once been her closest confidants, animatedly gesturing and sipping on milkshakes. Angela caught her eye and waved, a smile brightening her face. Something inside Emily flickered an echo of the girl she used to be. The one who dreamed of evenings filled with laughter and endless encouragement. Maybe you should go talk to them, her mother suggested, taking Emily's silence as a sign. Maybe, Emily murmured, but part of her still felt tethered to the corner where she had just faced Jake. Anxiety pricked at her, the thought of revisiting old friendships felt like a mix of nostalgia and dread. But what if reclaiming those pieces meant piecing herself back together? The thought of Angie pulling her into a hug or Sarah's contagious giggles lighting up her mood felt like a lifebuoy amidst her sea of uncertainty. As if sensing her thoughts, her mother gently nudged her toward the booth. You never know, they might help you gather your courage. With a reluctant nod, Emily walked toward the table, her heart hammering against her ribcage. Every step felt monumental, weighed down with questions of the past, present, and what lay ahead. The moment she reached the booth, she was met with eagerness and warmth, instantly enveloped in familiarity. So, what's up with you? We thought we lost you to the great family dinner crisis. Angela teased, her grin wide and unabashedly welcoming. Emily chuckled, a little incredulous at the energy they brought her. Not quite. Just sorting through some stuff. It was the simplest of words, yet they felt monumental as they hung in the air. Everyone had stuff, everyone had baggage. Would her friends be able to help her find a way through hers? But with every friendly smile, another doubt loomed. Would opening up again mean risking the heartache she tried so fiercely to escape? As laughter began to swirl around her like smoke, Emily felt a glimmer of warmth. But lurking in the background was Jake's voice, the unspoken promise hovering between them. What if facing the truth meant more than just leaning on friends? It might mean making a choice that would change everything. She wasn't just reclaiming who she was inviting the unknown in, weaving hope and fear together in a dance only she could lead. What awaited her just beyond the surface of this nostalgic reunion? because just beyond the warmth of her friends, the door swung open with a familiar jingle, and in walked another figure from her past, one whose presence would haunt her choice for years to come. The chatter around Emily faded into white noise as she turned toward the entrance, her heart dropping into her stomach. Luke. The boy who had once dominated all her thoughts, whose laughter used to be the soundtrack of her dreams. He walked in like a gust of wind, unpredictable and stirring feelings she thought she'd tucked away for good. His presence loomed large in the diner, drawing glances from nearly every corner. The way he carried himself, confident, casual, and yet undeniably charming, made her pulse quicken. But the sheer depth of that old ache rushed back, piercing through any defenses she had built. Emily's friends noticed her stillness. Angela leaned closer, her voice barely a whisper. "Is that?" "Yeah," Emily breathed, her voice betraying the swirling storm within. She wanted to look away, to retreat to the safety of her thoughts, but she felt like a moth drawn to the flame of those piercing blue eyes. Luke scanned the room, and when he locked eyes with Emily, time seemed to hang in the air. A flicker of recognition crossed his face, followed by something deeper. Was that regret? Or concern? The moment stretched, and Emily could swear he could see right through her. Memories poured in like an overflowing tide, from shared secrets beneath summer skies to whispered promises at twilight. "Is that who I think it is?" Sarah asked, her curiosity evident. The sudden realization snapped Emily from her reverie. "Yes. He's back," she said, more to herself than to her friends. How could she possibly face him now, after everything that had happened? Her heart raced, the comfort of laughter fading into unsure tension. Luke approached the booth, and every step made her want to bolt. Yet, an unexplainable force tethered her to the ground. He was just as beautiful and infuriating as she remembered. "Emily," he said, a hint of a smile breaking across his features. It sent a jolt through her that she didn't want to admit. "It's been a long time." "Yeah, it has," she replied, her voice firmer than her insides felt. She watched for the shift in his expression, trying to gauge how much of their history he still carried with him. "Aren't you working here now?" His gaze slid to the uniform she wore, and the question came wrapped in concern but also curiosity. Did he worry about her? Or was this merely small talk masked as interest? "It's just a summer job. Helping out, you know." Emily's attempt to sound nonchalant fell flat. She could feel her friend's eyes on her, a scrutiny she found especially disarming. He nodded, his posture relaxing slightly. But she could still see the flicker of tension in his brow. "How's everything been?" "The hometown, time seems to blur in your memories." Emily searched for her voice, one that wouldn't tremble with the weight of her emotions. "It's been different, to say the least." Just then, Angela piped up from behind. "Emily's been busy sorting her life out." "Aren't you, Em?" She grinned, her enthusiasm attempting to lighten the weight of the moment. "Busy, right?" Emily echoed, catching Luke's gaze again. There it was, the flash of understanding. He could read between her words, sensing the deeper turmoil she was grappling with. "And you? Back for good?" "Just visiting family," he said, but there was something more in his eyes. A flicker of longing. Regret? Emily opened her mouth, then closed it again. What could she even say to him? A rush of words bubbled up, concerns about her past, fears about their future, but she held back, afraid to break the fragile truce. In this small diner, under the harsh fluorescent lights, their history felt almost tangible. The laughter, the dreams, the heartaches, they clung to the walls like ghosts. Did he still feel the echoes of their shared past? Did he remember those magic summer nights too? The moment cracked open with unspoken truths, and Emily could feel the pivot her life was taking. Each heartbeat pushed her toward a choice, one that might change everything. Would facing Luke mean reopening old wounds, or finding a way to heal? Before she could articulate her next thought, her mother's voice broke through the haze. "Emily, why don't you show Luke the old prep kitchen?" I'm sure he'd love to relive some memories. Emily's stomach dropped. Show him. Did her mother know what that could mean? But Luke's inviting smile at the mention sparked something within her. Just beneath her caution was a flicker of curiosity, a question nagging at her: could they find a way to rebuild? As she hesitated, she felt the eyes of her friends, the weight of Emily's choices, and the sound of hope fighting against the tide of fear. With a deep breath, she turned to Luke, ready to navigate the unknown together, or was it just another trap born from the echoes of the past? What truth lay waiting in the echoes of the past, and would it pull them further apart or bring them closer together? Emily hesitated, her heart racing in her chest. The thought of taking Luke back to the prep kitchen, the very place where their laughter once mingled with flour and lingering summer light, felt both nostalgic and terrifying. She watched as Luke's eyes sparkled with the hint of mischief, a flicker of the boy she once knew. "Are you up for it?" he asked, his smile infectious. There was warmth there, a comfort she desperately yearned for but feared could quickly turn to ash. Taking a deep breath, she nodded. "Sure, why not?" As they walked past the linoleum floors glimmering under the flickering diner lights, memories rushed back to Emily like shadows in a late afternoon haze. She could almost hear their laughter bouncing off the walls, see the tiny details of the kitchen, the way flour dusted the countertops and the aroma of fresh bread wafting through the air. "Wow, it really hasn't changed," Luke remarked, peering at the shelves stacked with jars of spices and condiments. Emily chuckled softly, "Mom's not one for upgrades. This place has a charm of its own." He turned toward her, and for a moment, it felt like time fell away. "This was our sanctuary, wasn't it? We made the best nachos here, and you always snuck in extra jalapenos." "Yeah, and you had a meltdown every time they were too spicy," she teased, but as the words left her lips, a memory flickered painfully through her mind, a reminder of the last time they had been together in this kitchen. The anger that pulled them apart, the silence that followed was thick with tension, filled with unsaid apologies and heavy regrets. Luke shifted, seeming to read her thoughts. "You look good, Em," he said softly, his tone sincere. "You really do." "Thanks," she replied, her heart fluttering against her ribcage. "You too. It's just different, right?" "Different," he echoed softly, letting the word linger, both of them knowing it ran deeper than surface differences. As she returned to the past moments spent here, the laughter, the heartaches, she caught a glimpse of the very fabric they had woven together. Then she realized something behind the distance, behind the pain of their separation. Both of them had changed. The question lingered in the air, tough and heavy: could they allow each other back into their lives after everything? "Why did you leave, Luke?" The question slipped out before she could stop it, driven by the fear that they might end up on opposite sides of an unbridgeable gap again. Luke's face fell, the joviality replaced with reflection. "It was a mess, Em. I thought leaving would make things easier. For both of us." "And did it?" she pressed, her heart thumping loudly. "No," he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. "I thought running away would help me forget. Instead, it only made me miss you more." Emily looked down, her hands trembling. The memories surged up again, those moments of joy entwined with the heartbreak. She had wanted closure but found herself awakening old desires. The connection between them felt like a taut string, ready to snap or build something anew. "We can't just forget how it all ended," she warned, her voice steadier than her heart. "I don't want to forget," he said, stepping a little closer, conviction in his gaze. "I want to find a way back." For the first time in years, her defenses wavered. Could they truly navigate a second chance, especially after the storm of the past? Just then, the kitchen door swung open. A rush of warmth and a voice chiming through broke the moment. "Emily, we need you at the register." It was a fellow server, unaware of the emotional tide in the room. Emily took a step back, the moment dissolving. "I should go." As she turned to leave, Luke's voice rang out, drawing her back. "Wait. Can we talk more later? Just you and me?" "Sure," she replied, keeping her voice cool despite the warmth blossoming in her chest. "It like that." Walking away from the kitchen felt like stepping away from something vital. But her thoughts raced with potential, hope, and a tinge of fear. After all this time, was it worth opening that door again? As she made her way back to the diner, the heavy weight of whatever lay ahead pressed down on her. Would they confront the past or allow it to shape their possible future together? Emily couldn't shake the thought. Something deep within her whispered that tonight might just change everything. What would happen if their paths crossed once more? This time, would they embrace their shared moments, or allow the ghosts of yesterday to carry them apart again? Emily wiped her hands on her apron and stepped into the bustling diner, her heart still resonating with the words exchanged in the kitchen. The aroma of fried food and fresh pies enveloped her, a cacophony of laughter and clinking cutlery swirling around. She felt moments from long ago stitched into each corner of this diner, and now, standing on the threshold of a new chapter, she wondered if Luke could ever truly become part of her life again. As she took her position at the register, she glanced over at the table where he sat, a lone figure among friends, laughter spilling from them like sunlight. Each chuckle threaded a ribbon of warmth through her heart, yet the remnants of their earlier conversation left her grappling with uncertainty. Could they truly build something anew from the ashes of their past? Or was it destined to crumble once more? "Hey, Em! Over here!" shouted Jamie, her co-worker, waving with enthusiasm. "How's the reunion going?" Emily forced a smile, a blend of excitement and apprehension dancing in her gaze. "It's okay. Just catching up." Jamie leaned in, eyes twinkling with mischief. "You know, the gossip mill is working overtime about you two. Everyone is dying to know if you're back together." Emily rolled her eyes playfully, but the comment struck deeper than she'd like to admit. The thought of old flames rekindling lit a small spark of hope, but doubt lingered like a ghost. "We're just talking," she replied, trying to sound casual. "Talking? In this diner?" Jamie laughed, shaking her head. "Girl, this isn't just talking. This is a whole soap opera unfolding." Emily chuckled, feeling her tension loosen just a fraction. "You think so?" "Oh, absolutely. You've got history. It's messy, but there's chemistry. Just look at his eyes when he talks to you." Her heart fluttered at the thought. Luke's eyes, so familiar yet strikingly different, held depths she wanted to explore and fears she couldn't ignore. "Order up!" the cook shouted, breaking through her mind's haze. As she took care of the steaming plates and drinks, her mind drifted back to their conversation. Luke's confession about missing her, the sincerity in his voice echoing in her memories. She couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just another day at work. This was a turning point, like standing at the edge of a cliff, ready to plunge into the unknown. Throughout the evening, she felt Luke's gaze flicker towards her, an unspoken connection crackling in the air. Each time their eyes met, the world around them faded until it was just the two of them, hearts beating in rhythm. As she cleared a table nearby, she caught snippets of conversation from Luke's friends, laughter punctuating their words. "Can you believe they dated? He's right back here, of all places." The implication stung, igniting a fire of unresolved feelings. Would they see this as a fairy tale reunion, or were they destined for a tragic ending? Emily shook her head, refocusing as Luke rose from the table, taking hesitant steps toward her. The sound of her heartbeat thundered in her ears, she felt invisible threads pulling them together yet holding them apart. "Hey, can we talk now?" he asked, his voice laced with a nervous edge. "Sure," she breathed, feeling a blend of exhilaration and fear ripple through her. He gestured toward a quiet booth at the back, the shadows offering a sense of seclusion. The hopeful light streaming from the diner's neon sign painted their faces in soft hues, like the promise of dawn breaking after a long night. As they slid into the booth, Emily's mind raced. This was it. A chance to finally unravel the complexities they had both left unaddressed. But the gravity of the moment hung heavy in the air. Would they choose to confront the hurt of their history, or would the weight of their shared past hold them prisoner? With heartbeats pounding and breaths mingling in the charged space, Emily looked into Luke's eyes, searching for answers. In that moment, she felt the world shrink to just them, each second a promise of change, hope, and the potential for something beautiful. Emily, he began, the earnestness in his voice making her heart leap. But just as he opened his mouth, the diner's door swung wide, and Emily's breath caught in her throat. A figure stood silhouetted against the fading light, familiar and unexpected, beckoning with a history of its own. Was this the new complication they did not need? Who is that? She whispered, her heart racing as she realized the past was not done with her just yet. The figure stepped into the dim light of the diner, and as the initial shock ebbed, Emily's heart plummeted. It was Rachel, Luke's ex, the one whose laughter had always echoed in Emily's past, warming their shared memories until betrayal had turned them bitter. Dressed sharply, she radiated a confidence that contrasted sharply with Emily's uncertainty. What is she doing here? Emily whispered, the question barely escaping her lips. I don't know. Luke replied, his brows furrowing in confusion. The warmth of their moment had instantly turned to ice, and the air felt heavy with an unseen tension. I should go talk to her, Luke decided, glancing towards Rachel, his expression shifting from surprise to something more complex. No, wait. Emily interjected, panic bubbling beneath her composed exterior. This was our moment. We were about to. Luke's eyes softened, the warmth returning briefly as he registered Emily's feelings. But the shadow of Rachel loomed larger than their fragile connection. I can't ignore her, Em. Not now. Before Emily could respond, he was on his feet, moving toward Rachel with a purpose that made her chest tighten. The booth felt suddenly too small, the shadows too dark, and she was left alone with her swirling thoughts, battling vulnerability and unease. She watched as Luke approached Rachel, who stood beaming, thriving on his confusion. Their laughter echoed across the diner, a reminder of the past she would rather forget. The other patrons, curious and inundated with whispers, felt like unwelcome company now. Emily. Jamie's voice broke Emily's focus. She turned to see her friend approaching, concern creasing her brow. What is going on? You look pale. It's complicated, Emily replied, swallowing hard against the lump in her throat. He was just about to. She trailed off, unsure how to finish that thought. The sincerity, the honesty they had started to share felt like it was slipping through her fingers. I'm sure he's just being polite, Jamie insisted lightly, but even she didn't sound convinced. You guys have a connection. You can work through this. Emily nodded, but her mind raced. What if Luke was drawn back in by Rachel's charm, and she became nothing more than a ghost of his past? What if this was the moment that defined everything? Just then, Rachel threw her head back and laughed at something Luke said, and Emily felt a pang of jealousy twist deep within her. Catching the twinkle in Rachel's eyes and the ease of their camaraderie felt like a punch to her gut. Did I miss something? Rachel's voice floated back to Emily like a mocking breeze. I didn't know you were back in town, Luke. Yeah, just catching up, he replied, but the way he glanced back at Emily told her he was torn. Emily's heart raced, caught between the past and the present. Weren't they supposed to be figuring this out together? As murmurs swirled and the tension grew thicker than the air between them, she felt a rush of resolve surge through her. This wasn't just about Luke and Rachel. It was about her, too. About the chance to reclaim her own narrative. Hey! Emily stood, each word tinged with heavy defiance. Is there something we should be talking about here? Rachel turned, surprise etched on her face while Luke's expression transformed into one of concern. Emily could feel the weight of every eye in the diner transition onto her, and for a heartbeat, she felt powerful. Let's not dance around what's happening. You're back, and it looks like things haven't changed much since, well, you know. The words left her lips before she could stop them, an explosion of truths and fears locked in her heart. Luke looked from Rachel to Emily, uncertainty flickering like a candle caught in a windstorm. Emily, wait. But she couldn't wait anymore. If they were going to confront the complications of their past, it was going to happen now, right here. As tension rose in that diner filled with unfamiliar faces, she realized she was ready for the truth, no matter how tangled it might be. The question now hung in the air between them: could history be rewritten, or was it forever doomed to repeat itself? The cafe shimmered with the intensity of unspoken words as Luke moved closer, his voice low but resolute. Emily, you need to know why Rachel is here. Emily's heart raced. The weight of the moment hung thick in the air like a storm ready to break. Luke's expression was serious. She could see it in his eyes, a blend of apprehension and something like hope. But just as those words hovered on his lips, the din of chatter and clinking silverware drowned out their arena. Why? Because you had unfinished business? She shot back, each word laced with vulnerability. Or maybe you're still caught in old flames that shouldn't even be ignited again. The diner hushed, and for a beat, the world fell silent. Then Rachel's laughter erupted again, piercing through. I didn't mean to interrupt your little moment, she chimed in, the sweetness of her tone almost dripping with sarcasm. But it seems like you've got a lot going on, huh? The room was electrified with Hannah's annoyance, swirling under the surface between the three of them. Stop it, Rachel, Luke interjected sharply, his voice low but firm. This isn't about you. Emily's fingers curled into the edge of the table, squeezing tight. She saw the flicker of irritation sparking in Luke's eyes as he hung between his past and present. Emily, please, he began again, taking a deep breath. I came back to face things I walked away from. But this isn't just about me. She exhaled slowly, feeling the fury of unresolved emotions crash against the fortress she had built around her heart. Isn't it? You've walked in and out of my life before. What is stopping you from doing it again? Because I want to stay, Luke replied, intensity gripping his words. And I want to embrace whatever this is. His gaze landed on Rachel, and for the first time, she detected that flicker of determination. But I can't if I don't confront why I ran from you in the first place. I owe you that. The truth poured forth like a dam breaking, and Emily's heart hummed in response. So what is it? What do you feel? I feel a connection, he said, his sincerity carving through the tension, carving a space for understanding. But I can't explain everything with segments of my twisted history. I didn't love you any less, I was just too afraid to admit my own feelings. The soft buzz of onlookers faded into the background as Emily absorbed his words. They hung between them, a lifeline stretched across turbulent waters. A connection isn't enough for me, she said, firming her resolve. We need honesty. I need to know that you won't run away again when things get tough. Rachel's smirk faded, replaced by confusion, then defeat. She looked at Luke expectantly, but it was Emily who caught his gaze first, standing tall amidst the chaos. I'm not going to fight your battles anymore. Luke stepped closer, taking Emily's hands into his. And I won't let you face mine alone. It's time to write our story. Let us confront the past but not let it define us. Together. Emotion sparked in Emily's heart, brightening through the shadows that had long clouded her mind. The clouds started parting, inching away from sunlit possibilities. Perhaps Rachel wasn't the adversary she had seen her as, but simply a chapter of Luke's book, one she was willing to understand. Then, with a cough, Rachel cleared her throat, breaking the tension spiraling around them. But do you truly want this? Both of you? The question hung in the air, raw and unfiltered. Luke held Emily's gaze, determination sparking a small smile on his lips. Yes, I do. I choose Emily. The air shifted, and Emily's heart seemed to swell a new chapter unfolding, bright and bold. She glanced momentarily at Rachel. Yes, she was part of their story, but she wouldn't be the one writing it anymore. I want this, too, Emily breathed out, her voice steady with newfound strength. But you need to understand what I have built. It's more than I thought possible, and it has to be respected. Rachel nodded, acceptance reflected in her expression. I get it. Just know that it's going to be a rocky road for you both. And with that, Emily took a shaky breath and stepped into the unknown. She felt the warmth of Luke's hand firmly grasping hers, a beacon amid uncertainty. Going forward would mean embracing the messiness of life, the unpredictability of feelings, the complications of a shared past. But wasn't that the beauty of love? Each decision framed in courage, threaded with hope, and powered by the courage to step into the light of possibility instead of dwelling in its shadows. The diner faded into a colorful blur around them, as Emily realized just how powerful and transformative this journey could really be. Each heartbeat became a promise, each glance a vow. Together, they would reshape their story. Will it be tenderness? Will it be joy? Will it grow the way they each envision? Their eyes locked, and in that moment, the weight of uncertainty shifted because this was only the beginning. As they leaned into one another, the words unsaid filled the space with hope. Their love, blossoming. Their hearts, vulnerable. And life, ready to take them where they were meant to be. So, what's next? Emily knew as they faced those that once haunted them, the best was always yet to come. Want to witness more journeys of transformation? You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support, so don't wait not even one more second to share this moment with at least 5 friends who need to see these kinds of transformations. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your thoughts about this emotional finale. Join the family and keep the stories coming.